Yeah, we suck right now. The culture is actually like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from the pick sixes.
As the new NFL season officially begins with the start of free agency, there are unfortunately some things we must go over. New rules. As with most things the league has done, it's allegedly meant to improve the game, but some of them have led to more controversy than not. One of these changes that totally won't cause this is the banning of the hip drop tackle. Any infraction called by officials will now be 15 yards and an automatic first down. Another judgment call penalty in a league plagued by them. Oh, wonderful. The replay booth can now review instances of roughing the passer and intentional grounding. But knowing how well the pass interference reviews went, my hopes aren't high. What could be ironically useful are the new kickoff rules. They had to do something about them. The kickoff had been relegated to nothing but touchbacks for the most part. If you watch the XFL this past year, there'll be a slightly modified version of them. The kicker kicks off at his 35-yard line, and the kickoff special teams line up at the opposing 40. All but two players on the return team line up at the 35-yard line, not to move until the ball is received by a returner. The goal for the kicking team is to hit it in the landing zone, between the 20 and the goal line. If a ball lands or goes out of the end zone for a touchback, the ball is spotted at the 30-yard line. If it goes out of bounds, it's spotted at the 40 like it was before. Onside kicks also must be declared, thus eliminating surprise onside kicks. We'll definitely be complaining about these things in the future, but their newest gift to us comes with 2 games on Christmas. Wednesday football is back after a 4-year hiatus. The NBA is seething in the corner. There wasn't all that much for the Browns to do this offseason, mainly due to the money they have locked up in their key performers, and the deal that will make or break them for a generation. I'm talking about Joe Flacco, of course. The man that near single-handedly carried Cleveland to a playoff appearance after everything went to hell has been given a commemorative watch and free to go wherever he pleases. Renewed and given powers beyond the check down, the Browns mourn this loss. I know what'll solve this. Famous Jameis and Tyler Huntley. 3 Pro Bowl quarterbacks in one room. Plus extending Zadarius Smith and Shelby Harris and hiring Mike Vrabel as a consultant. Jordan Hicks and Quentin Jefferson as ads for the defense work too. Not to mention a new weapon for Deshaun to utilize in Jerry Jeudy, a Milo candidate who could live up to his potential in a new location. No, you weren't supposed to pay Jeudy, you idiots! Did you not see how maddeningly frustrating it was in Denver? Ugh. Flacco magic is gone, but Cleveland's rise will be undeterred. At least to the Browns and their fan base. Making the playoffs after suffering the waves of injuries they endured was impressive. But this is a clean slate. One with new questions and lingering concerns. Mainly pointing at the guy under center. Will he ever play up to his contract? It's a mighty big ask, but I feel like 95% of the NFL's fans hope he'll fail. Deshaun's potential stat massage aside, the question lingering for the Browns is how players will come back from injury. Nick Chubb will hopefully be back sometime this year, but can Jerome Ford keep up his pace? Will David Njoku be anything without the tight end whisperer known as Flacco? Can the offensive line stay healthy for any stretch of time? Myles Garrett's dominance aside, Cleveland's a wild card in a lot of ways. Kind of like a freshly extended JOK. No, wait, scratch that. It's a lot like Jerry Jeudy. Could be anything. Even a playoff team. The AFC is a lot like recent years. Very wide open, but seems to lack the true power that it once had. Most of it has to do with general aging and salary cap constraints, but there's a lot of intrigue and probabilities to go around. You can make an argument for many teams here to make the playoffs. And that's a good thing for us all. The AFC East particularly has a new opening. While it's available, I still feel that Buffalo squeaks by despite competition from the Jets and Dolphins. The AFC North, it's still the Baltimore Ravens. They've always been a strong regular season team. The AFC South is very interesting. Every team's got a legit shot, but I'm choosing the Texans due to their talent level. The AFC West is still the Chiefs because God hates us all. But wild cards? Damn, that's tough. I'm going with Cincinnati, the Jets, and Jacksonville. Honestly, just throw darts on a billboard and you'll have a better chance of picking them. Such is how we all like it. Preferably with endless chaos. It says something when Dak's contract may be an overpayment, but it's nothing compared to the guy they're playing. At least Prescott's a good quarterback. At least he can lead an offense to some semblance of glory. He usually does in the regular season, especially against a team like Cleveland. Unlike Deshaun Watson. Good Lord. Any fleeting chance of him regaining his Texans form has to be gone, right? He's robbing Berea blind with how bad he is. The Browns threw everything at a guy who can no longer throw a football. That's not even an exaggeration. Watson needs fucking Sherlock to solve the case of the missing talent. He can't hit anything accurately beyond 5 yards 4/5 of the time. Peak Cleveland. The Browns wanted an adult at QB, well, they got a total deadbeat. And they got hoodwinked out of $230 million for it. What a shame, am I right? You feel so bad that Cleveland's starting to turn on Haslam's golden boy. Dallas didn't even have to sweat with how suffocating their defense was. Just make Deshaun throw. He won't massage anything out of it. If they don't pivot to Jameis or the defense doesn't ball out, it might be a long year. If I were you, I wouldn't look at Tampa Bay. The guy starting over there might make you jealous. Don't let this fool you into thinking Deshaun's just a shitty quarterback. He's an even shittier human being. If the waves of sexual assault allegations didn't bring that to light, I don't know what would. A man who lost his father and a friend recently has now been served more shit stew. There has been yet another sexual assault allegation. This one happening back in 2020, one originally not reported. And the depictions reek of a man with a colossal ego who won't take no for an answer. Considering his past track record, when there's smoke, there's fire. Now the question is if Deshaun never reported this to the Browns when he signed his mega deal, it could void his future guarantees. It's currently under investigation, so he'll still be allowed to play games for the benefit of his opponents. But even if Cleveland gets out of his contract, they'll still be hit with sizable cap penalties. As a fan of a rival, I hope the NFL forces him to keep starting for the Browns. It's a punishment worthy of their idiocy when bringing him in. Was getting an adult worth it, Haslam? Welcome to Trevor Banks Stadium, a gimmick that totally won't blow up in Jacksonville's face at all. It certainly didn't affect Trevor Lawrence, slicing and dicing that Browns D for a seismic 16 yards of passing in the first half. But that set the tone for one of the sloppiest games from both sides in a good bit. I don't understand how the Jags can still let Press Taylor mangle red zone offense like this. 1 for 4 from inside the 20. The whole game was a putrid display of offensive butchery this side of voodoo sacrifices. Does Duvall need that? Maybe it'll get T-Law's talent back. It was endless frustration for their so-called home opener. They were playing a team that refused to run the ball and were 4 for 14 on third down. Cleveland didn't get close to 100 yards of offense in the second half. How are you struggling on the offensive front against this? Anything resembling consistency or competence in their 1-0 in Trevor Bank. It's a yin to the Miami game's yang. Do you want a chance of doing anything late? Too bad, here's a safety in their hour of need. Who needs a bow to a shit Sunday? This team certainly does. Nothing is pure Jacksonville like a Hail Mary dropped by the receiver in the goddamn end zone on the final play of the game. This team's the NFL's AEW. Hyped to hell by insiders and shit posters like myself, only to fall victim to bloat and hubris. Go figure. When a team like the Giants comes into your home, you should crush them. When they derp on the opening kickoff and you immediately score a touchdown in 11 seconds, you should win by 40. This is how it should go if you aren't the Cleveland Browns. Their quarterback is not Deshaun Watson. Their offensive lines are not absolutely battered to hell and back. Add Wyatt Teller and Jedrick Wills to the list. This team needs an adult. Send Deshaun to a landfill, he is trash. Brown should file an insurance claim because this is all but a total loss. Is that why he's getting wrecked by this defense? 8 sacks on the day for a Giants defense finally awoken from slumber. The offense falling completely flat for drives at a time is one thing, but to be vastly outperformed by Danny Derps, it's time to retire to the mountains and live as a hermit. Malik Neighbors is him. The big-time receiver that's gonna carry the G-Men to 6 wins come hell or high water. With him, Jones looks like a goddamn dynamo. It's not perfection, but against the Browns, it's good enough. The Giants' defense will do the rest. I mean, it is postmodern Deshaun Watson, but this is a fetish to the AFC North and anyone with morality. Cleveland can't stop fucking the ball. Even as the Giants are giving them endless chances, the Browns swat it away like they have throughout their history. New York still doesn't have a kicker and they can't do anything with it. An embarrassing loss of embarrassing losses. To the Giants, amazing. No, this gets worse, Cleveland. Myles Garrett's hobbled. Like Art Modell after Paul left. Fuck the Browns. Election coming up, a talking point is bringing high-paying American jobs back home. I have fantastic news. The Factory of Sadness has become fully operational after years of minimal staffing. The The industry will produce endless glory for other NFL fan bases, especially those facing the Browns. Las Vegas was without Devontae Adams and Max Crosby today. Cleveland was still fighting this game from behind the 8 ball. Their offense can do nothing. And Deshaun wasn't anything close to being the issue. The whole team is fucked. Their offensive line's destroyed. Even Watson's getting livid at them. The Raiders can do little of their own, but it isn't a factory of sadness without hilarious hijinks that undo them at every turn. Nothing is pure Browns like a dart thrown to Amari Cooper right on the chest, yet it ends up as an interception because fate is an asshole. It's so Cleveland to force a tremendous turnover in Raider territory and run it back for a desperately needed touchdown. And then the factory produces a missed extra point. Always a goddamn caveat. Deshaun makes his best throw as a Brown, stepping up to find a crossing Amari Cooper to... Wait, Watson can have a good play in 2024. Oh no, there's a flag! Holding on the offense. Hold a Browns fan, they're in hell. Cleveland can't break through whatever the Raiders are. Their offense is even worse than theirs, yet it's a 4-point deficit. Know how that extra point miss hurts? They go down the field but need 6. And that means going for it on 4th down in the red zone.
Watson, working Cooper's way. Pressure coming. He scrambles and is taken down.
Remember when Cleveland had hope? They're the Pittsburgh Pirates of football. 20 years of dog shit, a few years of glimmering hope, and then you go right back to being shit. Now we know the problem isn't Deshaun. It's every goddamn thing, including Deshaun. Perhaps the Browns were simply making business decisions to allow the Raiders to win? I don't know. Two locale franchises going in polar opposite directions. Washington's managed to remove their cancer after years of devastating the franchise, and recovery's going well. Jaden Daniels is their chemotherapy, rapidly rooting out any remaining tumors in their franchise with his outstanding play. The arm and his feet, he will devastate anything the Browns even try to throw at them to the easiest victory of his NFL career. Meanwhile, Cleveland is stuck with the cancer of Jimmy Haslam, and his vices are forging misery and sadness aplenty. Even if their defense tries to keep the game in reach early, the $230 million liability rears its ugly head yet again. How long are they going to pretend that Deshaun's salvageable? Saying he's cooked is a gross understatement. The Washington defense isn't even good, yet the Browns are so pathetic they can do nothing. Their O-line's trash and Watson's shoulder's fucking shot. It's Cam Newton without the likability. With every game they play him, Stefanski's either completely ignorant towards the liability or his family's being held hostage by Jimmy Haslam. You know how this team plays better, Kevin? By changing the fucking quarterback. At least Jameis would be fun to watch when they go 5-12. This is just sad. Commies, enjoy your glorified bye week. I demand that both of these teams are handed L's on the day. One team is dead in all but name, the other might as well be with how they've been playing. Philadelphia is a shithole. Surprisingly not the city, but the Eagles are rivaling the Phillies for fucking up. A team with this much talent should not be struggling this much against a bottom feeder. Despite besting them in both talent and production, the Eagles are making this much closer than it should be.
Ready.
A.J. Brown might be back, but life ain't easy being Kelly Green. Blocked field goals for touchdowns? You bet Cleveland's converting those. The fans justifiably want Sirianni's head. Is your offense constipated? Just take some laxatives, it'll free up the head coach clogging your intestines. Philly's saving grace is in their opponent. The Browns can't offense. At all. They've only scored once in their last 29 drives. Every match against the AFC East lost. You'd think things would be long overdue for change, but Cleveland's simply going to keep their heads in the sand. No, Deshaun's not the problem here. We may barely move the ball and Deshaun's a complete liability, but it's definitely not Watson. Trust us. I'm supposed to applaud Philly for barely beating a joke franchise? You got bailed out by high-end talent and you know it. Yet that fucking hack Sirianni's out here chirping the fans on the sidelines like he won anything worth a damn. The Eagles are at home. Buddy, you're lucky you're not serving them Dollaritas at fucking Applebee's. Trotting out your kids as a shield from criticism during the press conference, too. That's pathetic. Nick, you're definitely a fine locale of the week for your poor imitation of a clown. The clown can be funny. You're just aggravating. Get back to making my fries. They need their own star wideout to add to the arsenal. The Bills lack a true frontline receiver. While Amari Cooper isn't what he was as a Raider, he's still an upgrade for them. Cleveland's having a fire sale to try and retrofit the factory of sadness for a modern age. And Amari's the first piece to go. Acquiring him for a fifth, keeping him for a few years, then flipping him for a third. Even when the Cowboys aren't involved, they're taking so many L's you think they were playing the Packers. Cooper is free. He gets to go to a real team with a real quarterback again. And he'll be worth it. If he can find his missing hands. He leads the league in drops. Hopefully that's not a trend here. Prepare yourselves. The trades are gonna start to fly. Good news, Guardians fans. The Browns will cure you of your misery in incredible ways. Right after they give up this touchdown on the opening kickoff. Or so I think. Nick Chubb's back. It's truly a glorious day indeed. Cleveland may be doing next to nothing on offense, but the reality is that this is cause célèbre. Just don't pay attention to the game whatsoever. The Browns were given so many chances by Cincinnati to take advantage of their struggling offense. They feature one of the worst defenses in football statistically, but emphasizing Browns' futility, they can do nothing about it. After hours of torture, Joe Burrow drags this decaying corpse and ends the misery on display. In spite of a valiant defensive effort, they reinforce the factory of sadness that is their franchise. Just look at their new stadium proposal. It literally has the look down to a T. The same goes for Cleveland. Back to the days of an irrelevant joke franchise that opposing teams feast upon. Especially their rivals. And especially in their home stadium. Fortunately for them, nothing else happened of note. Nothing whatsoever. Just the loss to the Bengals, and that's that. I guess I have to go over it, don't I? This whole situation's just fucking miserable. It's obvious to anyone with even a modicum of football knowledge that Deshaun Watson is cooked. His shoulder's destroyed. His once dazzling talent fleeting as his life behind this offensive line. Everyone from fans to pundits to shitposters begging them to bench this money pit for famous Jameis. Kevin Stefanski hears their calls and benches Jameis. The gods have been doing everything in their power for Cleveland to take the hint. They're done playing nice. They'll owe Yeller Deshaun behind the shed. A non-contact torn Achilles puts this sad story out of its misery. Couldn't have happened to a more upstanding paragon of human values. The fans in attendance mourn by cheering the loudest they ever had all season. This was a Browns home game. The Grand Watson experiment ends to mass approval. And Deshaun's career might be as well. His only remaining asset was his mobility, and that's just been compromised. A bitter end to what will go down as one of the greatest disasters in NFL history. He played 6 games in each of the last 3 years. Terrible. But the Browns themselves see it differently. Myles Garrett and famous Jameis actively criticize those that cheer his demise. A man who gave his all for Cleveland. A model citizen on earth. Seriously, a model citizen? Best joke I've heard all day. At this point, all parties involved in this whole saga are locale of the week. Deshaun, the players defending him, the fans who supported him until he couldn't throw a football, and the team as a whole for sleeping with the devil himself. Norm Macdonald's words ring true. Everyone involved in this story should die. Myself included. Remember when Jameis got benched? They had to put in DTR. He isn't what we call good. And then he got hurt too. Everyone lost for the Browns on Sunday. Everyone. What goes around comes around, Mr. Haslam. Enjoy eating that cap hit for the next few years. He's free. Famous Jameis, like Nelson Mandela before him, was a political prisoner, and now he's off to lead a revolution. The apartheid against aerial assault is over. Amazing how putting a competent quarterback under center makes the Browns' offense so much better than it was under Watson, don't you think? It's almost as if every single person who watched this team was right. Deshaun was the major liability. Cleveland put up 20 points for the first time all season. It was that bad under him. And it's also this bad for the Ravens. Oh, why did I expect Baltimore to have an easy victory today? Their defense is horrible. And it's being emphasized here. Think they miss Mike Macdonald? They're playing down to competition in the style of the mid-2010s Steelers. Whatever Lamar and company do to power through these auspicious conditions, the Browns equally counter with rubber banding. A surprising back-and-forth game thanks to famous Jameis unleashing the full power of his Costco QB abilities. Cleveland is the lead by 3 and the Ravens are coming up short. Justin Tucker was making 50-yard field goals again. That ended today. It's only agony as the Browns continue to stymie Baltimore at their own game. The beaming light of the Cuyahoga blinds Rashad Bateman and it blinds the Ravens as a whole. Down by 6, Baltimore realizes, oh yeah, we have an offense and this is fucking Cleveland. Lamar does his typical high-end talent spiel. barreling over anyone in his way, and he brings them the lead on a silver platter. It's over, right? Do you know who this team is? It just gets fucky. Like anything resembling opportunity for the Ravens in January, it's completely botched Kyle Hamilton style. Seriously, Kyle, you dropped that? High schoolers can catch that shit. Maybe they can catch this as well.
Winston going for it all for the end zone for Tillman. He's got it!
A game sold down the river. Team defense was always supposed to be one of Baltimore's greatest strengths. This season, nowhere near it. They're on pace to give up over 400 points. You call that a Super Bowl contender? Lamar and King Henry can move worlds, but if a supposedly impenetrable curtain is made of flimsy material, it means nothing. And now it's too late. The Ravens do the same old Edgar Allan poems. Can you do something different for once? Like, play up to potential? If I have to see them choke another goddamn January again, I'm gonna scream.
I told you, Browns fans, Famous Jameis is a fun kind of terrible to watch. He's a Fugazi, you never know what to expect from him. This Winston Cup is one with Costco stats. Bulk everything, especially turnovers. Oh, Jameis never figured out how to stop throwing terrible passes to the other team. The Turnover Bakery now runs a concession stand in the Factory of Sadness. The Famous Jameis experience. You beat Baltimore, yet look like puke against the Bolts. Liquid LA just did the typical Harbaugh thing. Crush them with strong defense, possess the football, and pound it down their throats. Smash fucking mouth. The score doesn't do it justice. Berea had absolutely nothing today. Chalk it up to another all but free win for the Chargers. Another simply to keep pace in the wild card. Cleveland season's done. All but cooked a char and a broiler, but at least Winston's entertaining. Like a really bad B-movie. He's not Deshaun Watson. That's all that matters. Enjoy your 5-win season. New Orleans is doing it again. They're rattling off a few wins when it doesn't matter and deluding their executive branch into thinking being competitive is just a few less injuries away. If you didn't expect this surge to another 8-win season, I don't know what to tell you. Famous Jameis is returning to the place he made delicious turnovers in and baked an outright gem. Almost 400 yards of passing in a near immaculate day. If the Browns don't get in their own damn way at every opportunity, or if their kicker could make a damn field goal. It's tied at 14 in the second half, but unfortunately this is where Cleveland's hopes begin and end. Today's superhero on the bayou is a simple man. A Swiss Army knife that can kill you in 12 different ways. We call him Taysom Football. What's his favorite position? Obviously football. The Browns defense couldn't stop him whatsoever. The throwback to 2019 terrorizing Cleveland in every way possible. Don't look now, but the Saints are marching back to hell. 4-7 and the rest of their division is imploding on itself. Oh Lord, the terrible hope. New Orleans doesn't need any more foolish ambitions.
A little windy, but not that windy. But the kick wide to the right.
The moment this happened, I knew the Steelers were in for a ride. There are at least 1 or 2 games a year where Tomlin's team plays like absolute shit against a bottom feeder. This was such an example. How do I describe things? You really can't. It was a kaleidoscope of wonder and illusion, where Famous Jameis slings and Nick Chubb bulldozes in short yardage situations and Myles Garrett destroys whatever this offensive line is supposed to be. It's more of a shit show with the wind and dog pound howling, but Pittsburgh can't stop getting out of their own way. Fumbles by Cleveland undone by rushed 4th down conversions that fail. Or long drives that are undone by bad snaps, forcing the Steelers to rely on Boswell's leg again. And then the Steeler D breaks under the might of Jameis. Repeatedly. With an 18-6 lead, it seems over, but this is only the beginning. The elemental gods must be heard. Just like that, a snow barrel blast encompasses the stadium. Another iconic moment in football lore. The snow globe. Shaking up the conditions and pelting lake effect snow on the field of play. This is peak football. The ultimate equalizer, a test of strength and spirit. A war where the trenches are both unforgiving and the key to victory. You seriously want to give this up for a dome? That's treasonous. And it proves how fucky this season's truly been. And it's in these conditions where the Steelers will pull it together and plow a clearance to glorious victory. The impossible is reality. Pittsburgh is forged under the magic of a Russ rainbow. They have the lead. This calls for celebration. Famous Jameis concocts one of his legendary turnovers. Pittsburgh can escape with another win. Thrown away by Fields on a deep route. On a 3rd and 4? Dude, come on. So the Browns can take it and drive for a win. A field goal is all but impossible, but they must trudge forward. Until late in the game in Steeler territory. 3rd down and short, it's ruled incomplete. But the pass is called for hitting an ineligible player and they decline the penalty. Wait, so they're accepting the penalty and making it 3rd down again? And now they're calling a timeout when the clock isn't running? And they got burned on the 3rd down. I'll give credit to Jameis. That dude is playing his heart out. But this is standard fare for Pittsburgh. Finish them off, Browns. Just ram it down their throat and end it.
Hands it off. To the end zone goes Chubb. Touchdown, Browns.
A lot of people outside the Steel City ask the same question. Why are you all critical of Tomlin? He's never had a losing season. He's got a future-busting cannon. Well, this is why. He butchered the shit out of this entire game and coached himself into a cardboard box. Does it mean much in the grand scheme? No, this shit happens, but it doesn't make things any less frustrating to watch. Especially on 4th down, Cleveland gets one up in the elements for a small victory in a season of shit. Meanwhile, embracing his Steelers diva arc, George Pickens begins preparations to fight Jake Paul in a boxing match. Pittsburgh didn't play like shit, the weather did it all. The Browns aren't a good team, you know. Sure, George. Very nameless gray faces of you. This team never fucking learns. God damn it. No. Let's close this out with the sermon of hope from famous Jameis.
I am so happy and grateful that the Lord has blessed me to play in some snow, to be in true football weather in Cleveland, Ohio at Huntington Bank Field today to give him the glory. It's a beautiful day.
It's been known for weeks that the Broncos are most likely going to backdoor into the playoffs. The insanely lopsided AFC and strong defense have written it into contingency. Nobody said it was confirmed, though. Cleveland's playing with fire after the elimination of the adult in the room. With Reverend Jameis preaching from his pocket pulpit, it'll be tough to convert the masses. We got the full famous Jameis experience tonight. What a legendary performance throwing back to his 30-30 campaign. He's destroying everything. The opposition, his own team, the fans watching around the country. You know it. It starts out as a standard back and forth affair. Offenses being quiet despite a few big bangs early, merely feeling out their opponent to find any glaring weaknesses. The Broncos then ride on the back of Bosferatu and suck the life out of their opponent with a touchdown. Jameis then redelivers life by means of a counter touchdown. To the Broncos. Told you the famous Jameis experience is fun. Let's keep it going with extending life with another touchdown. One for Cleveland this time. As we try to debate if Riley Moss was the Broncos' defense, Bo Nix injects Denver with all the hopium. And I mean all of it. That play's gonna bring forth a bunch of babies born in Colorado next September. But Jameis won't be one-upped. Are you crazy? Judge Judy's gonna have his revenge game in the most delicious way. You like Levi Wallace, Denver? Pittsburgh sends its regards. We continue with a little bit of sludge. Defense is finally making stops, except for one attempted surge by the Broncos. They unfortunately don't make it to the end, so the field goal is kicked, and all seems lost for Cleveland. When the hate club was at its lowest morale, we have the bounty. A Mo Picks arm punt. Oh my lord, what an incredible blessing for us all. The Winston Million has come through. Big Chubb's returning to the Browns with a touchdown on an impressive drive. Cleveland has the lead. This is not a drill, my friends. We are witnessing the greatest Jameis timeline. Yet Sean Payton must punish a battered opponent. Taking the lead is inevitable, but they need a touchdown, especially with how rough their defense looks. They don't succeed. Denver's forced to kick a field goal, it's too late. Winston's gonna make these fools pay dearly for doubting him.
As he was headed out of bounds. Here's a pick!
Jameis,
Intercepted!
no! Why do you betray us like this? Excuse me for losing my composure. Think about it for a minute. Almost 500 yards of offense on just under 60 pass attempts, 6 touchdowns, 2 of them to the other team. This is the peak Jameis Winston performance. We'll be hard-pressed to find anything better.
Let Denver have the win. Hell, he's gonna make it 7 touchdowns right now.
Like, I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
It's that time of the year again. When the playoffs start to peek into the picture and we discuss the scenarios at hand. Such a chaotic time, but not really for the AFC. Their picture's pretty much set, barring a collapse or two. Kansas City and Buffalo have already punched their tickets to the dance. Pittsburgh will most likely with another win. Houston's only saving grace is that their division is ass and they have tiebreaker over the Colts. Baltimore, the Chargers, and Denver bring up the surprising wildcards of this conference. Indianapolis is still gunning for that final spot even if it's a long shot. Miami and Cincinnati are still alive, but barely. There's been a lot of disappointment for teams this season, but there's still a chance they remembered the rules.
Don't get eliminated!
Sometimes you just have to remember the golden rule of Steeler football. When in doubt, trust the other team to repeatedly self-destruct. They were the better team in more than a few metrics, but this tale is one of the Browns repeatedly cutting themselves off at the knees. Sometimes that's all you need to get revenge for a snow globe game. It's standard black and gold fare otherwise. Use a balanced defensive attack to drive the ball and suffocate their offense with a vaunted front four. Even without George Pickens, Russell Wilson and Najee Harris make easy work of this battered unit. Their 10th win comes without a sweat. Then Browning happened. Famous Jameis has been blessed by the Lord and delivered from pick sixes. He wasn't delivered from his terribly delicious turnover vice. As he ponders this cruelty, Dustin Hopkins continues his quest to shank some of the easier kicks an NFLer can make. I swear, Chris Boswell usurped the power of every AFC North kicker for his own gain this year. And Kadarius Toney. Oh, you thought he was working at a Publix somewhere in Florida? No, he's trying to get himself cut from another team. Brain-dead personal foul penalties are merely the start of his idiocy. New York celebrates the greatest victory on the day. A muffed punt which all but sealed the game for Pittsburgh. Kadarius may be a 2-time Super Bowl champ, but he's only winning locale of the week from this point forward. Chance to sweep Pittsburgh for the first time since 1988 has been lost. And this season is yet another lost one in a sea of them. Factory of Sadness truly is an overdrive.
Miss.
Consider this game to be a modification to the Chiefs' devil magic. Instead of the usual keep it close standard of this season, the Cleveland Browns proceeded to happen, fucking the ball in every way, shape, and form throughout the contest. Holiday cheer and the spirit of giving filled their hearts. Jameis Winston felt inspiration from many chefs throughout time and space itself to deliver only the most delicious turnovers to his opposition. Both Kansas City and the meme world rejoices, for they will enjoy a Christmas feast. The Factory of Sadness unfortunately found some health violations with Jameis' stand, so they shut him down in favor of DTR. We weep for the delicious picks the world has lost. That franchise is in hell once more. Nick Chubb isn't what he was, but the gods do not care. He'll be afflicted with a broken foot that takes him out for the remainder of the season. The Chiefs not having to suffer through an uncomfortably close game? This is in violation of several NFL treaties in this current year. There has to be retribution for this insult. And it may be one far too great to bear. Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid and Matt Nagy chose to butcher anything resembling a competent game plan and got him injured on a 4th down attempt. He's out week to week. And who the hell knows what mystery box Carson Wentz is? He could be his MVP form, he could imitate his final weeks as a Colt. It was a win, but at what cost? That's the question moving forward. Bungles are trying everything in their power to prevent doctors from pulling the plug on their playoff hopes. Good news for them, Cleveland exists. Though the antidote's simply playing these games to collect paychecks. When you start fucking DTR, you aren't doing so to win. God's sake, they can barely nudge the ball forwards most of the time. We're out here pretending that no net yards of passing against a terrible defense is the best a team can do. Are the Browns just conditioning their fans for another year of Deshaun Watson sucking a QB? Of course, since he won. It's the modern Dan Marino against an offense programmed by AI. Allowed to coast by the 3rd quarter. They may be in a medically induced coma needing 15 miracles to survive, but the Bengals ain't dead yet. If Burrow has to carry this team on his back to Denver, so be it. Only 2 games in the 4 p.m. window and one of them is this slop? We don't even get the flash of Tua since he's out with injury. Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley against Dorian Thompson-Robinson. We should have just quick-simmed this one. It would have been much more enjoyable to see the result instead of witnessing whatever the fuck this was. As mind-numbing and rain-soaked as the weather conditions in Cleveland. The perfect allegory for the Factory of Sadness. Miami, you picked the right time to deal with a Tua injury.
Browns had absolutely nothing to offer. DTR threw almost 50 times and only averaged 3.6 yards per attempt. It's pretty much the only stat you need to see. Simply preparing their fans for another year of Deshaun Watson. Snoop Huntley, on the other hand, lived up to his Pro Bowler reputation by being efficient and careful with the football, which is all they really needed. It's unseasonably warm in Cleveland, so the Dolphins survive. It'll take a miracle to get to the playoffs, but it is possible. Kind of hard to believe, but this season's been weird as hell. For our important matchups, we begin with what I'm truly excited about. A generational competition concluding with only one champion. Tank Bowl! The rules are simple. Lose and secure a delicious bounty. New England gets first claim. If they somehow win, it goes to Tennessee. Then Cleveland, then the Giants if it gets to that point. The final week always brings out the obscure and the circus acts. Bailey Zappi has been allowed out of the bomb shelter. Remember when he was a thing for about 3 weeks? That pick 6 is why the Fat died off as fast as Concord. Zappy or DTR. Green unplayable shit or a different color of unplayable shit. Baltimore wins by default. Merely a tune-up act as they waltz into an AFC North title on the back of one of the most dynamic offenses in the game. It's just gonna cost you Zay Flowers. Not a big deal, right? Who the hell needs reliable wideouts? There's a chance he can play for the playoffs, and Cleveland was more interested in the art of suck-a-dude, so it meant a whole lot of nothing. Kevin Stefanski needed a scapegoat, and Ken Dorsey isn't any good, so they'll just cut his head off instead. Deshaun's Achilles setback to be determined. If there's a way to end a season in style, it's with a Michael Pierce thick pick. Like the Browns, he saw the distance he had to run and just said, fuck it. Cleveland did their duty, but there are many more that need to do their part. After such treasonous ruination, we have a new champion in the art of losing at the 11th hour. Presenting the winners of the 2024 Tank Bowl, the Tennessee Titans! Their aspirations were playoffs, but a Tank Bowl is so much more desirable. It means a new Project QB to hopefully develop. Fire Brian Callahan, by the way. He's fucking useless. America's emphasis on revitalizing its industrial sector has bore incredible fruit. Politicians have yearned to bring jobs back to the Rust Belt for time eternal, but they got one better. The Factory of Sadness is reopened and is running at full production. Oh, what a glorious sight for the rest of the football world. Misery incarnate as everything that can go wrong does. And it all points towards the adult in the room. Deshaun's unable to throw a football anymore, and Baker Mayfield makes them eat shit at every turn, but at least he's doing it with maturity. Tried to cater and run the offense through Watson, and all they did was run their season off a cliff. It's damning when every yokel in the stands is justified. They eventually put in Jameis, and the offense was not only significantly better, but got more entertaining to watch. At least until they tried to make DTR a thing. I dare say the highlight of the season was Deshaun tearing his Achilles. It was that bad. The rest of the team got injured along with him. This is simply reaping what they've sown. Jimmy Haslam wanted to meddle, he gets the second coming of the Herschel Walker trade. Now the Browns might be forced back to square one yet again. Myles Garrett's tired of having this albatross hung around his neck. He wants out of this shit heap ASAP. As for the massive albatross the Browns are stuck with, Cleveland can rejoice on the inside. He tore it again.
It is even funnier the second time.